Wagwan, everyone, and welcome to Film Shrapnel, your one-stop spot for everything movies. And Merry Christmas! My name's Tobias, and this is my co-anchor and partner in crime, Craig Britton. Hello, Craig. Merry Christmas.
Hey, how's it going, Tobias?
You know, it's a festive time. How are you doing, Craig?
Pretty good. I'm not really a Christmassy guy, to be honest, but I'm pretty pleased with the film selection that we've
Oh, yes.
included.
Yes. Today, guys, we're doing Black Christmas, one of the least Christmassy Christmas movies you'll ever watch. This is not about Christmas, this movie, at all. It doesn't have to be set at Christmas, this, in any way.
No, but it is fantastic. By the way, also Die Hard doesn't have to be set at Christmas, but
More true.
there we go.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like this film, Craig. I think this is a really, really good one. And this Canadian little indie horror flick has basically been credited as the sort of dawn of slasher movies as they evolved over the years. Usually Halloween gets credit for it, but really Black Christmas came first and really set the standard.
hmm I think this is better than
Yeah,
Halloween.
I agree. Yeah, this is really good, this one.
Yeah, when you first told me about this film, I was thinking uh it would probably be a bit, have its issues here and there.
Mm.
Because like the big thing about Halloween is like whenever I think of the film Halloween, I'm thinking about the time I watched it in the Prince Charles Theatre on a John Carpenter marathon years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously everyone there is like a John Carpenter fan, and like everyone loves his stuff, but like in Halloween there are moments where like Jamie Lee Curtis is looking out a window and she
Mm.
sees Mike Myers, Michael
Yeah,
Myers,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Myers that we're talking about,
Shrek.
and
She sees Shrek.
she sees Shrek. I can't even say that. And then the shot goes back to her, and then she looks again, and then he's not there,
Yeah,
and it's like really stupid. But this film
yeah.
doesn't
I
have
think you've
any of that.
I think you've mentioned that on the pod before. This really annoys you about Halloween, doesn't it? You
It's
really don't
really
like.
stupid. It's
Yeah.
really funny. It's really like surprising because he's such a prolific director that he did something so silly. You
Well, I
know,
mean, it was his first film, though, wasn't it? Halloween.
I'm not sure if it was his first, but might make some sense. Yeah.
Well, I do agree with you, though. I think this one is clearly better. Um, and I kind of like. So obviously, what I liked about Halloween is that there's no real reason for Michael Myers to be this psycho kid. Not really, anyway. I mean, the remakes try and give him like a bit of a backstory, but in the
Mm,
original first two, because obviously in the later films he becomes a bit more supernatural. It falls more in line with like the Jason Voorhees, the Freddy Krueger kind of uh, sort of narrative where they're a little bit supernatural. But in the original two, he's just a man who's just driven by killing, and we know that he's been killing ever since he was a little kid. We get absolutely no reason for it. We are not told why he is this psycho child. He just is this psycho child who kills his sister. And I think that opening scene of Halloween is really, really scary, really, really well done. But this
mm,
film, spoiler alert, guys, this film, not only do they take the motive away from the villain, but you never actually see the villain. You never get to see who it is that's actually going around killing everyone. Is it one of the other characters? Is it one of the characters that we are seeing in one of the other students? Or is it, just some random fucking guy? We only ever see his eye once, or maybe
we
twice.
see we see also the outline of his hair at one point as well.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But you never see him clearly. You never get to know who this guy was. You never get to learn what his motivations were, who he was, anything. It's very, very mysterious, and I think that really lends itself to the horror.
Mm.
Really,
Yeah.
really, really scary.
I,
Really
I
like the
like.
idea of not like a faceless
Yeah.
villain that you don't ever get to see, but he is just as terrifying as all these other sort of slasher horror villains.
Mm. And I really agree. I found this one quite scary, which I don't always find with horror films. I find them sometimes a bit too much. It's not even gory or anything really. It's just kind of
No,
like the idea of being alone and at home, and then there's someone else there.
someone's in the
Uh,
house.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually, the this film is also known as Stranger in the House. I think maybe in the US it might be known as that. Uh, and this
Well,
is also,
go on.
I was going to say, this is they believe this might be the origin of the phrase, "the call is coming from inside the house," which
Yeah.
is like a really big phrase. Like I figured, I was guessing it halfway through watching the film because I remember they said there was two phones in the house. So the whole way through the film, our protagonist Jess is getting these really creepy. We got to talk about those phone calls at some point because they're
Oh
really
yeah.
fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Uh, some weird voice shit happening there that is really unsettling.
Mm.
So we got two phones in the house, and the police tapped the one phone that they're being called from. And eventually, they figure out that the call is coming from the other phone in the house, which is in like
Oh,
the house mother's room, which is like the woman who's in charge of the sorority house because they're a college house thing. They're students, and yeah, you figure out that yeah, the killer is inside the house and it's terrifying. And
so good.
this trope, yeah, and this trope has been used so much, and it's like, oh my God, this is the origin of it. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I even read a whole thing on Reddit, and people couldn't find an example older because this is from 1971, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, honestly, this is such an influential movie. So good. I really liked it. Was it as early as 71? I thought it might have been 73 or 74.
I think it's 71. Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
early.
Yeah, that is really early. 6 whole years before Halloween. Jesus.
Yeah.
Should we get into the nitties and gritties?
Yeah, but can I give you a bit of trivia first?
Oh yeah, I love a bit of
A bit of
trivia.
extra trivia. So, for our podcast, this is the second Canadian horror film we have done. The
True.
first one we did was Bloody Valentine. So, I don't know what's up with Canadians turning like days of the year into horror events. So, we've got Valentine's Day now, we've got Christmas. What's going on, Canadians? Uh, Third Canadian film, if you include Scanners. Uh,
Wow, yeah, we
and
have done quite a few, haven't we?
well, three, maybe a bit more than that. Average, I guess. Probably some other stuff that we've done has been filmed in Canada. A lot of stuff gets filmed up there these days. American stuff.
Mm.
Uh, then what else have we? Oh yeah. So a big thing, a big, very big controversial thing about this film was when it was first going to be shown on TV in the US. I read this on Wikipedia, by the way. Um, when it was kind of first shown in the US on TV, Ted Bundy had just killed like two female students in a sorority house, and then went
Ooh.
next door and tried to kill two more. And then like it was just about to be shown on TV, so like the governor of Florida asked them, please don't show this film because it's going to be like it's just too fucked up, and it's of such terrible timing, like
Yeah, a bit on the
to
nose,
kind of
yeah.
yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they'd cut stuff from lots of different movies because of 9/11. After 9/11, loads of movies that had been shot had to cut stuff out or readjust special effects or anything to get rid of any sort of reference of the Twin Towers or just simply buildings collapsing. You know, there's I think we've all seen the clip of Spider-Man catching a helicopter in between the World Trade Center buildings, um, and then they had to cut it from the original Spidey movie. But then there's also I don't know if you're into Lilo and Stitch.
Hmm.
The original final scene, and they'd done all the animation for it, and then they had to redo it all. They were actually going to hijack a plane and then chase a spaceship with a plane, and then the plane was going to like pretty much crash into a bunch of buildings. It's kind of wild what they were planning on doing when you consider that it was in 2001. So
Mm.
if anyone's interested, you can actually go look it up on YouTube and watch the entire original ending of Lilo and Stitch, and you'll get to see, yeah, they really were right to cut this. You know, this is definitely too. It was too soon for sure. So they reworked the effects, and then they changed the plane to a spaceship, and then they just did it around a bunch of mountains instead. They made the mountains
That's
buildings.
that's pretty wild that they had something so controversial in that film.
Yeah, a Disney movie. And I actually really, as a child, I loved Lilo and Stitch, and it's one of the few Disney animations that have stuck with me throughout my life. I wouldn't mind a live action Lilo and Stitch movie. I would, and I because I like the idea of it. I like the idea of like 600 plus little monsters running around. You got to go deal with them. It's just Pokemon. I like it. It's Pokemon, but a bit more, wholesome.
Yeah,
Because you're not
they're
making the
not
aliens fight each other. You're just
until they
catching
faint.
them. Yeah, exactly. So are you ready to get into some nitties and gritties?
Yeah, should we break it down?
Well,
Break down the nitty.
can I? Here's my first nitty, and then I'll get to my first gritty. My first nitty. It's only Lois Lane. Lois Lane
Yeah,
is in this movie. Um, she is an actress. She's not only in this. She's not only in Superman, but she's also in Amityville Horror. Those were like the three like early films of her career that I'd always sort of noticed her in. But I mean, I'd never watched this until I was much older. But I'd always known her for playing Lois Lane in Superman, and I had seen Amityville Horror.
I flicked through her Wikipedia. Usually when I'm watching these films, I'm looking up the actors, see what else they've been in. Yeah, I saw that she was in Superman as Lois Lane. I did see that she had some health problems, mental health problems later in life, but I didn't read what they were about.
I had heard that she was basically found like living on the streets of Hollywood. Like people found like, aren't you Lois Lane? And she just had like some mad mental breakdown. Bless her heart.
The
Um,
curse of Superman, as they say.
the curse of Superman, indeed. But it was nice seeing Lois Lane in this, and she is easily for me my favorite character in the movie. Um, I think she's a great little actress.
By the way, speaking of the actors and actresses in this film,
I know
uh,
it's going to be another. I was going to bring it up, but yeah, go on. You can bring it up.
go. I'm not sure what you're going to say. I have no idea. I was going
John,
to ask
go
John
on.
Saxon.
Yeah,
Is
John
that his
Saxon.
name?
Yeah.
I recognized him, but I wasn't sure where I knew him
Oh,
from.
fuck off! You don't know. You know where you know him from. He's in A Nightmare on Elm Street. He's in. He's like a bit character in From Dusk Till Dawn at one point. I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
But more specifically, what you should be absolutely ashamed of is he's fucking in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee and Jim Kelly.
Ah.
Yeah, he's because he's a karate champion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was like the actor that they got to be in Enter the Dragon. They got like mostly guys who were into martial arts. Jim Kelly, I believe, was a black belt. Um, but John Saxon, I don't know. I don't think he was like a black belt, maybe, but he had some training in karate or something, some kind of martial art. But he was an actor first and foremost. And they were like, well, let's get this guy because he's a good little actor, and he is a great actor. You know what? I take it back. He's my favorite thing in this. I love John Saxon.
He's pretty good in this, yeah.
Yeah, I adore John Saxon. He is one of my all-time favorites. I've always loved him in Enter the Dragon. Always loved him in A Nightmare Before Nightmare on Elm Street, and I do really like him in this one as well.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was also going to ask about the other actress who plays Jess. Have you seen her in anything before? I've seen that she's been in some other horror films, but I don't know if I've seen her in much.
Hang on, let me get a picture up of her. I need to remind myself of what she looks like.
She is actually English, and she doesn't try to put on an accent. What's kind of interesting about this film is that, because I knew it was a Canadian film, but when you start seeing from inside the police station, you see there's American flags on the table. So, okay, they're pretending to be American. But I keep hearing the accent here and there in some of the ways that people speak in this film. It's
Oh,
not
they're
quite
meant
US.
it. Oh, I didn't realize it was meant to be set in the US. I thought it was meant to be in Canada. It's famous for being a Canadian film.
Yeah, but you see the American flags on the desks in the police station. So, okay.
Oh, sorry, mate, you were wrong. It was 1974 for a
Oh, was it
start.
74?
It was
Okay. All right then.
74. I thought it was around then, but I thought it must have been earlier than 74 because 74 was when Enter the Dragon came out. So I thought it might have been sooner, but yeah, 74 here. Right,
Still pretty
Jess.
early.
Olivia Hussey, her name is, this Jess
Yeah.
character. She was last in something called in 2015 called Social Suicide. Let me go to her early career, see if I recognise anything. Um,
I saw that she's been referenced as a bit of a scream queen, so she's probably been in a lot of horror stuff aside from this.
but I suppose you only need to be in like 2 to 3 horror films and be the main character in at least one of them to be considered a scream queen.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? Okay, interesting. So I've got her filmography up. Interestingly, she's been playing Talia al Ghul in the animated Superman series.
Hmm.
So another Superman alumni. Let me go to the beginning of her career. Hang on, hang on. So she was a child actress. She'd done some acting as a kid. Black Christmas was not her first film. But then since Black Christmas, she was in something called Jesus of Nazareth, which I'm sure I have wanted to watch for a while. It's a mini series. Death on the Nile, I've seen. The Cat and the Canary's meant to be good, but I haven't seen it. Um, Virus could be a horror film. None of these look like horror films, though.
Hmm.
Um, oh, she's in an
Well,
episode of Murder She Wrote.
hmm.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, she's. Oh, okay. There you go. Now this makes sense. Not only was she in the fourth Psycho movie, Psycho 4 The Beginning, she plays Norma Bates. Um, she was also in the original 2 part mini-series of It with Tim Curry as Pennywise. So that makes sense that she's considered a Scream Queen because she's part of that ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge film amongst horror fans. Although I don't really like, I'm not a huge fan of it personally.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm not either. I'm not really a massive horror guy, but though I will say that I really liked us watching this film.
Yeah,
I
no,
think actually,
this one's great. Yeah,
I think this might be one of my favorite films we've done. I'm not sure if it knocks Hellraiser off, but it's really good.
I think Hellraiser Hellraiser is one of those like elevated horror films. It's high art as well as just a horror film. There's some real art going on in the first Hellraiser film. This one, it's not so much like uh, it's just being there first and doing everything before everyone else does it and doing it better. It's
Yeah,
just so it's this one's not elevated horror. It's it's just setting the foundations for what slasher movies are. It's so seminal, and you know the way they present the villain from. So like, let's get into the like the beginning of the film. We see the sorority house at Christmas, and they get in like really pervy phone calls, and these calls are like, they'll just cut off halfway through. They don't seem to mean much, but they're saying really dark, dirty shit, real degenerate stuff. Just making noises as well, like, just really gross.
yeah. There's also something. It's like referring to himself as like Billy. Like it sounds like there's a mother son thing there
Mm,
going on, or I don't know, like and he's talking about secrets or something. Like don't tell. Is it Julie
yeah.
or something? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
really,
creepy.
really creepy because you are kind of getting his backstory, but like you don't know how much of it is actually real, how much of it's just like the crazy ramblings of a lunatic, just yeah. There's absolutely you're just given no context whatsoever. I suppose these calls are maybe the only context we get of the character, and it could mean absolutely nothing. And that is so good the way they've done this. I really like how you just have this faceless villain. I don't think we've ever done it since. Have we ever done this since? Where we never get to see who's doing all this shit.
I think there might be some examples, but I feel that whenever something gets big like this, they always try and make a prequel, or they try to explain in the sequel. They try to always put the backstory there. But here they just
Well,
no, no, no. Let's just leave it unspoiled.
well, do you want to know what the remake is like?
Tell me about it.
So I went to watch the remake in the cinema ages ago, a couple of Christmases back, and it's completely changed everything. So, if memory serves, and really tried to block this out because it was really bad, they've done it so you know, uh, the guy in the original Saw film that cut his foot off.
Vaguely,
He's
vaguely.
he's in it. Um, so basically, I can't remember the exact details of the plot, but we are in a fraternity house, and they have like the bust that like this head bust of some old guy who used to be in the fraternity, and basically they've just turned Black Christmas into a movie about toxic masculinity, and it turns out that the entire frat house is in on this whole like we're all gonna just fuck all these women up because we hate women. That's pretty much what the remake is.
That sounds like a completely different film.
It is a completely different film. They should have just made their own film and leave Black Christmas alone because it's nothing like it. Just the fact that you're revealing it at all, I think you're ruining the spirit of Black Christmas.
Yeah, for me, really, the spirit of this film is like
Where's your Black Christmas spirit, guys?
this. The spirit is like just it's not supernatural or anything
No.
nuts like that. It's just the fear of being fucking murdered by a lunatic who
Yeah,
could be in the other fucking room. That's what's
exactly.
great about it. Like
Yeah.
I think a big thing about these early slasher movies from the 70s, they really like there were so many serial killers at this time who were killing, like for example, Ted Bundy again. He was just
Yep.
going around fucking killing people, and it just felt meaningless. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what they're playing into here. Is that's why we don't get a reveal, we don't get a backstory. We get some idea of a backstory, but not really.
Mm.
And like we have no idea who this is. It's just a fucking nuts guy who enjoys killing. And like that's what I think a lot of people felt at the time
And I,
when they
I
saw
also
on the news these killers.
I also like that a lot. Like you could have made the argument for like a few of the characters in the movie to have been revealed to be the bad guy, but they never do reveal it. But like you could quite easily see a couple of the male characters in the movie being revealed to being the killer. But yeah, because you never find out, you know. Yeah, it's so clever, so well
It's
done.
very clever. I was really expecting more stupidity in this film because I think, it's a slasher movie, it's a bit
Mm.
old, maybe there'll be some stupid shit happening here and there. But every time I thought, probably this dumb thing's going to happen, it surprised me. It's like, oh, okay, you're a bit smarter than I expected.
Yeah,
Like,
even the killer's dialogue down the phone is like very very realistically unsettling. I
yeah,
think what makes this film good is that it's actually very plausible. A lot of these slasher films they go a bit too much with it, where you can't really buy it as believable. But this film does feel like it could happen. It could happen
Mm.
to anyone.
Yeah, and it's that realness that really makes it scary. Like I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I like to watch a lot of true crime stuff here and there. Not
Yeah,
so much recently, but sometimes when I watch this true crime stuff about these real serial killers, it scares me a lot more than horror films because
yeah,
that's like that fucking happened.
it's
Like,
real. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I like about this film is that it leans into the reality of it.
You see, I quite like living my life in ignorant bliss. I actually find all this true crime stuff quite unsettling. And with these, and like I say, with movies, it's you can have that degree of separation, but I think you're right. This one, it's harder to have that degree of separation. It does feel very real. It does feel like it could happen. Um, and I like the only thing I don't like is quite early on in the film, they reveal that someone is in the house. Like we see the attic door like just close quite quietly. And so we know that someone's in the attic. We know someone is in the house. There's an early kill where he suffocates someone with a plastic bag.
Claire.
Claire. So we know he's in the house. But it would have been great if, you know, the final reveal really was the first reveal that he was in the house. Like
True.
if they were getting picked off outside the house in various ways, but then they've been getting the calls as well. Then they reveal the calls are coming from inside the house. It just oh yeah. But to be fair, I still loved it. I still loved it. But and yeah, maybe you don't actually need to do that. That's just it's an unnecessary step. I do like it for different reasons that we always know that the killer is in the house. It's just that the reveal at the end doesn't have the same impact because we already know as the audience. But we do get to see Jess's response to it the first time she gets to learn.
Mm. Which is
And
pretty
what
scary.
and I loved that like when they reveal it to the police officer and they're like, don't fuck this up. Don't tell her he's in the house. Just just tell her to get out of the house. And then when he calls her, he is just so fucking obvious where he's like, all right, now don't answer, don't say a word. Just replace the receiver slowly and then walk out of the house. And it's like, well, you basically have just told her he's inside the house. And then he literally screams it at her down the phone. He's in the
Yeah,
house! Get out!
it's
Uh,
the dumb
and then
officer.
but then she's dumb because she wants to go upstairs to get a friend. And it's like, well, if he's in the house and she ain't answering back, you can probably guarantee that she's probably dead. So get out. Get out. Yeah, bless her heart. Really good film.
Yeah, I don't know why you would have just let them sleep. Like if it was me, if I was alone in the house and I'm getting some fucking freaky phone calls and a 13-year-old girl was murdered in a park, like down the street,
Yeah.
I'm saying, no, you're not going to bed. You're fucking staying here. You stay with
Yep.
me. You can fall asleep on the sofa. Fuck you
Hmm.
leaving me alone. Even if
Absolutely.
you're hungover as fuck, you're staying there. I'm not.
We're stronger together. Yeah. Like there's, yeah, absolutely. We talked about this when we did Drunken Master, but uh, Mrs. Mack's character, she has like alcohol hidden all over the house. She even has a bit of like a flask of rum or whiskey hidden in a Bible at
And
one
she
point.
also has one in the toilet as well. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you, would you drink toilet rum?
No, of course not. I mean, unless I was an alcoholic, like, and this they play it to be like, oh, she's a bit quirky. She likes a drink, but when you're hiding alcohol around the house, that is behavior of an alcoholic, and that is very, very tragic and very upsetting. And I don't like it when we joke about really serious problems. When it's joked in that way, where it's the way it is, it's just like they expect everyone to laugh at, oh, shit, she's having another drink, and I just think it's a bit old fashioned. I still think you can make jokes about alcoholism, but you need to be aware that of what alcoholism is and how painful it is for people.
Yeah. Can I
And
also
you
say,
don't get any sense of pain. She just feels like a slapstick character. So I didn't
yeah,
like that.
she was kind of the comic relief a bit in the film.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't quite get her death. So she goes up to the attic
Mm.
looking for, I mean, I think she's looking for the cat,
Yeah, I know. I know.
and she sees that Claire is dead up there, I think. And then the killer has some hook attached to like a rope that's
Oh
attached to the
yeah.
ceiling, and he kind of lets go of it, and it kind of like kills her and lifts her up. And like I don't know, it kind of didn't. I didn't get that death. It didn't make sense to me.
I mean,
That's probably
I
one of the only things in the film that I felt was a bit odd.
yeah, I thought I think just the physics are off a bit, right? The physics
Yeah,
are really off on it. Yeah, it just feels a bit strange, but it does work in sort of in the horror of it. But yeah, the physics of it are just complete bollocks. Yeah, quite right. Um,
yeah.
Also, I thought it was interesting to have like because the Claire, the girl who gets killed at the beginning, her dad rocks up looking for her, saying she hasn't answered the calls. All this isn't normal for her. Blah blah blah. And he's really quite early on. He's the driving force for the plot, and you know to just have like a sort of aging guy who doesn't seem like too physically able, like not in a wheelchair or anything, but like he's not an action guy, he's not a police officer, he's just a concerned dad. um we don't often get them to be main characters in things, certainly centering around a sorority of girls. It's usually the
Mm.
girls that you're going to be focusing on as the main characters. But he really was very, very prominent in the story. He's in a lot of the movie. And without him, they probably wouldn't have figured shit out as early as they do.
Yeah, they wouldn't have gone out looking for her. Yeah. While we're following Claire, by the way, so first thing actually, two things actually. Claire is such a non-character name. Every
Mhm.
time I see someone called Claire in a film, like
Die.
you are just not important.
You,
You are
you,
just not needed.
you
It's
are
such a
there. You are there for something to happen to you, and
yes,
that's it.
yes,
You are there
yeah,
for the other characters to worry about. You are not really important. Yeah, I get
yeah.
you.
And I also like whenever there's like a character, like a romantic interest called Claire in a film, it's like you're just there for them to like someone. That's it.
Mm.
Uh, so I was gonna say, there's also one bit where he's looking around the sorority house, the father of Claire, and there's one poster that we see of this old lady, and I think it's the poster is made of like 9 images, and it's just her sitting very nicely. And then the final image in the bottom right, bottom left, no, bottom right, bottom right corner is her giving the finger. And like, I really like that poster. I would really like to have that poster actually. I want that framed in my house of this old lady.
It's a mad painting.
Yeah, that was sort of quick thing that I was also going to mention earlier is that apparently the filmmakers didn't intend this to be like a kind of feminist kind of film, but a lot of people kind of like think of it as a bit of that way
I mean,
because we have,
I yeah, I think you definitely can make that argument. But unfortunately, the remake really double downs on that and really changes it a lot. But I think this film really is one of those films that could be. It's very girl power, isn't it? She's pregnant, so you can make the argument that her sort of maternal, sort of protective instincts are kicking in as well, and that's why she's able to survive. There's some really good stuff. She's a really capable final girl, um, and I actually think I would say most, if not all, the female characters in this are really well written.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. And I also like that they just had a proper discussion about like abortion because like,
yeah.
so her
In
boyfriend,
the early 70s as well.
yeah, yeah. So her boyfriend, I forgot his name. Was it Peter? Peter, I think it was.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah. So he's pretty much ready to give up his like pianist life. I think he's been like he says he's like been doing it for 8 years. And she's like, when we first met, we talked about all the stuff we wanted to do. You wanted to do this, and I wanted to do that, and like, I still want to do those things. And like, so there's her argument for like wanting to have an abortion is that she doesn't want to just like give up on her life just yet, and he kind of
Mm.
gets pissed off about it. And I thought that was quite good,
Yeah,
actually.
it's actually quite a
Uh,
relevant argument because we hear a lot of this getting spouted on like YouTube and TikTok right now.
yeah, it's come full
Still
circle, hasn't
relevant.
it? It's
Yeah, it's still
yeah,
very, very relevant. So Peter kicks her out, right? After this conversation about being pregnant, he kicks her out. He's not the most progressive, um,
no.
and
And so about Peter, for the film really tries to play the narrative that it could be him. It's probably him.
yeah, yeah,
The crazy pianist guy who's a bit emotional. He smashes up a piano. He fucks up a recital. His girlfriend is pregnant. Uh, he even like in the kind of glimpses that you get of the character, particularly his hair, it looks a bit like
yeah,
it could be the killer. Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, it's not him.
I- Is it not him?
No.
Could it be him? Could it be him? Humble listeners, we'll find out. Um, and then also Lois Lane, I forget her character name. Lois Lane is giving a child booze at one point,
Yeah.
and
The
and I find that it's an interesting like we've got one character who is considering an abortion. She's doing it for like sort of her for her own benefit, like her life, for legitimate reasons. And her boyfriend is quite angry about. Peter's angry about it. He's very like, oh no, you can't do that. And then we get another female character who seems to be quite who's into raising or not we see her being nurturing to a child, but she's doing it in a really irresponsible way. So it's kind of interesting that we have this sort of juxtaposition. I only really bring it
that's
up because it does feel intentional.
that's an interesting take on it. I did feel that at points when these things happened, like giving the alcohol to the children, it was trying to be a bit edgy, which it didn't need to
Mm.
do. There's even a bit like there's a guy dressed as Santa Claus, and he's like ho 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 fuck, and like saying bitch in front of the kids as well. And then
Yeah.
again, so when they go to the police to say, Claire is missing, uh, the alcoholic girl, I don't know, Lois Lane as you called her, like gives an address, fellatio, and like
Oh
I'm thinking,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you, you wouldn't like if your friend is missing, you
Isn't it?
wouldn't do that.
I
Like
think
even
her
if you
name.
think the police are assholes.
Yeah, I think her name was Barb. Hang on, yeah, I think her name's Barb, and the note I've got of that is fellatio flirting with the police. Uh, Lois Lane used to be dirty. What would Clark think?
Oh,
That's my note. That's literally my note. Um, just really quickly going back to the what I was saying a second ago. Also to point out that some of these pervy calls, one of the bits of dialogue is, "Where did you put the baby? Where did you put the baby?"
yeah. It's trying to make you again think, oh, it could be Peter. And then there's another line
Yeah.
like that, like something about a wart. Where was it? I had it written down. Like removing, just like having a wart removed, which is exactly what he said to her, like as if it's
Mm.
nothing. And
But then,
then,
but obviously it's revealed that like if he's in the house, he can hear all of their conversations. So that's that they do set it up that it's Peter, but it being in the house, it could easily be anyone. That's the thing.
yeah. But that's another thing. I was thinking about this film. Is surely she knows. Sorry, the killer knows that she's talking to the police. The police have been there. If he can
Yeah,
hear everything,
yeah,
like, yeah, I mean, the thing about the film, like, can I go? Can I jump ahead? Because we're like 40 minutes in. I'll mention this now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
towards the end of the film, um, basically Peter is killed, she survives, and you think that she's okay. She's like put under anesthetic or something. Weirdly, they decide to leave her, even though they say she'll be asleep for like 4 hours. Like, there's a reason to leave her alone in the house. Basically, you find out that the killer is still in the house. He's not dead. Peter is dead, but he wasn't the killer. So she killed her boyfriend by accident, I guess,
Yeah.
thinking it was a killer. But reasonable. Anyway, that killer, although like he got away with it, kind of the film plays that he got away with it. He didn't really get away with it because his time is limited. They're gonna find there's a guy in that fucking house. It's just a matter of time.
I mean, I suppose
Uh,
once you've killed all the people in the house, you move on to the next house, I would
but he's
imagine.
still in there though, and the police are still there. He's gonna get caught.
That's true.
His time is limited. He will get done.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to get caught. Quite true. Um, did you notice that they have a whole conversation about turtle fucking?
They did, yes. Again, I thought the film was
Why?
trying to be a bit edgy again. Let's talk about turtles fucking in front of the father of the woman whose daughter is missing.
Yeah, but in all
Yeah.
fairness, if they had actually seen footage of turtles fucking, they would know that they do little cute sounds. They don't. They may fuck for a long time, but it's hardly the sexiest sex. If anything, it's the cutest thing you'll ever see. With like, oh, oh, they make really silly noises. They're really cute. So I just think that what she was trying to be edgy. But if you look up turtles fucking, it's the least edgy fucking you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah, I think the writers hadn't really seen
They
footage.
they don't know what turtle fucking's like. Not really. They this movie didn't come out when the internet was out. They didn't know.
They should
They
have
didn't
gone to the
know.
zoo before they wrote that line.
Exactly. Exactly. I do love that the cat is called Claude, by the way. Great name for a cat. Claude the cat.
It's a very fancy name for a cat.
Yeah. From a very unfancy woman who owns it.
Yeah. We're
Also,
about.
there was one phone call with choking sounds. Could that have been him killing someone and then letting them, make
I
noises down the phone?
I was also wondering about that as well. I think there's more than one time where that happens where he's killing
Choking.
someone, and there's
Yeah.
like maybe a female voice there, and
He
that's probably
doesn't
one of the,
impersonate his mother very well, whoever she is. But like, there are moments it sounds like he's having that. There's two voices.
yeah. It's too quick to change from one voice to another. It's like as if there is someone else there with him. Yeah, I I,
Oh,
I was
who
also
knows?
wondering.
Oh my God, dude! I've also written down the note. Is Jess meant to be English? About halfway through the film, I'd
Uh,
forgotten.
the act, yeah, the actress is English, but I don't. They never reference her
Mm.
nationality or where she's from. Uh,
So, so like, yeah, this part of the film, I mean, I know we get like this. The killer like smashes up the attic at one point for some reason.
yeah, I remember that as well.
Which I quite like that POV style. Like, I think that was quite an early example of a POV shot from the killer's perspective.
I was also wondering about that because I was thinking like you get a POV shot very early on in the film when you
Mm,
see the serial killer enter the house, and
mm.
I'm like, uh, I was thinking, weren't cameras pretty heavy and bulky back then? And like he's even
Yeah.
like climbing up, those things that vines grow up on the side of houses. He's
Mhm.
climbing up one of those, and I was
Yes,
thinking,
cameras were exceptionally heavy, and don't forget, this is also exactly what they do in Halloween. The beginning of Halloween, it's all totally in POV from the perspective of like 8-year-old Michael Myers, and he puts the mask on as well. So then we see it through the mask too. Like, but I do think this is the first time you get it. I think this is the first example.
yeah, and I was really impressed actually, almost pretty much early on, and when the film started,
Mm.
I was like, okay, I like
Yeah.
that.
No,
Uh,
mate, this film's bloody good. It's a really good film, and you know
it's
what? It's
excellent.
better. It's better than I remembered it as well. I remembered it being a bit. less exciting. And after watching it again, I'm like, actually, no, this one's really, really good.
It's super
Um,
underrated.
yeah, super. So this is about the point in the film that Peter tells Jess, "I'm going to marry you, and I'm going to quit my concert pianist career." And she isn't actually interested in marrying him. She reveals, "I'm actually not that into you in that much in that way." Um, so then, and if you think that Peter's the killer, then you know shit's about to go down. And then John Saxon starts like investigating the house because the initial reports are not being they're not taking them too seriously. So Saxon takes it upon himself, like, right, we'll investigate this shit. And we get the call back to the fellatio line where they take the piss out of the police officer for writing it down.
There's always a dumb officer and a smarter detective who listens to the kids who are concerned, isn't there?
Yeah,
Doesn't that feel like a theme?
it does.
It's in
And there's
Blob.
and there's always a cop that's like, "Oh, I know, it's kind of dirty, ain't it?" You know, it's
Mm,
like, ugh, yeah. I mean, these sorts of dark bits of dialogue I didn't like, but I suppose at the time they weren't actually bad. But we've seen a lot of it since.
yeah,
Um,
it's been repeated so many times that it's
mm.
getting annoying. But at the time, probably wasn't that dumb. I don't know.
But I think I think the whole sort of abortion angle. I think that's what's making this like a feminist film because Peter really is like he does lay into it. I think at one point he screams in her face like "selfish bitch" or something, and she's just trying to like live a responsible life, and she knows she's not ready for children, and it would be an irresponsible choice. Um,
Yeah,
I still think that all of this. I can see why this film has become a feminist sort of staple of horror films. It's very, very good, and it's really poignant now. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, this really is a feminist film. But perhaps you should have made it. Perhaps it's only successful because it's not uh, cramming it down your throat in the way the remake does. The remake is really like tone deaf.
isn't there more than one remake?
Yeah, I think there's one from the early 2000s as well that's more in line with this one. But
Hmm.
the latest one that came out like in the last couple of years is just so bad. I'm you know what I think I've seen the early 2000s one, and I seem to remember it being okay, but I don't remember much of it, if anything. But I remember
Yeah, maybe.
thinking this is not a bad movie.
Yeah,
Just not good
I
enough to
think.
watch again.
Yeah, I think they should just leave these good ones alone. Just let them
Yeah.
be. I'm
Let
not
them
gonna watch
be
the remake.
the good ones. Allow them to stand on their own and be the good
Yeah.
ones. Um so
We
the
are at 55 minutes, by the way,
yes,
just so
we
you know.
are. Barb has an asthma attack at one point. That's
Uh-huh.
pretty intense. Um but yeah, this film doesn't feel very Christmassy, even though all the Christmas stuff is there. Um,
Well, the Christmas angle only really helps it in the sense that they're alone. Like it's supposed to be
yeah,
a full house of people, so
yes,
it's a big house,
mm,
and everyone's left to go back home for the holidays
exactly.
except like three girls. So
But
like,
it has to be said that there are times that I just totally forget it's set at Christmas. Like there's one point where carolers come to the door, and I've got a note here
mm,
that says, "Oh yeah, it's set at Christmas."
yeah, I remember watching that bit thinking, fucking carol singers, like a fucking 13-year-old kid just died in the park. Like,
Yes,
what the fuck are you doing?
exactly.
And I was thinking,
Yes,
that's stupid. But then immediately after, a woman comes and says, come on, quick, 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 get back home. And then she says, a kid just died in the park. It's, oh, okay, you redeemed yourself. The film's not that stupid to not realize the importance
yeah,
of a kid's murder.
exactly right. Like it's really odd that there are carolers after like a
But
local murder. It's
they
really
just wouldn't have
strange.
known. It's a time before the internet.
I suppose so, but you'd have like radio broadcast or something that you would have. There were systems in place for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Also, I also wanted to talk about. It's kind of crazy how you trace a call in the 1970s, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so
you,
complicated.
you literally every time he calls after they tap the phone, they cut to a man frantically running around all of these computers trying to find where, and it's just so strange. It's such an odd like a visual.
It wouldn't be like that now at all.
No, not at all. Um, so the killer kills Barbara with a unicorn. You don't need more context than that.
That's probably the most gory death in the
Yeah,
film, and you don't really see it.
there's the most blood involved. Yeah. Um, and then we'll just rush through all this. Peter calls out Jess to not abort the baby. Um, and then a silhouette appears while she's on the phone to the police. Ooh.
Yeah, I
And,
noticed
and,
that too.
and they're talking about Peter on the phone, and the shadow is lingering behind her. So they're really wanting you to think it's Peter. And then there's a really strange exchange with the girls when they're searching with the search party. I forget what they said, but I was like, this is a bit weird. Um, and then when they go and check on Barbara after she's been killed, the door swings shut behind them, and I'm like, in I've watched enough horror films. If I walk into a room and the door swings shut behind me, get out of the room. Just get out of the
Yeah,
room. I don't know what people are doing with their lives where they're not instantly leaving a room where the door is shut behind them for no fucking reason. But anyway, um, at one point, doesn't one of the phone calls it goes bitch pig, or something like
I
that.
think I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his creative insults. Um,
There
so
is
yeah,
go on.
sorry, go on.
No,
I was
I
going to say
forgot what I
that.
was going to say.
So this is when we find out that the calls are coming from inside the house. And then they call the police that are sitting outside the house, and they're dead. They died off screen. And then uh, they tell her that the calls are coming from inside the house, and she thinks the sensible thing to do is to call upstairs to find Barbara. And then she picks up a fire poker, and it's go time. And I like this because this is like she should be getting out of the house, but instead she is standing for her friend. She's going to go up and try and get a friend, even though it's a
Yeah,
waste of time because she's dead already.
yeah. There's a bit of irrationality about her. Like, there's even
But I
like
like that about her character.
at first I didn't like it, but then I started to think, okay, but that's realistic though, isn't it? People don't
Yes,
always make rational decisions
exactly.
uh, at points like this. Like, for
Mm.
example, I was thinking when it became very like very likely that it was Peter. And like there's even a
Yeah.
bit where he's on the killer's on the phone and saying about the water thing word for word that he
Mm.
said. And I was thinking like if I was her, I would like immediately call the police that that is
Yeah.
him. That's
Yeah.
my crazy fucking boyfriend. It has to be him. He's the only one
Yeah.
who he said that to me just today. So like but she doesn't say like that even the officer, John Saxon's character even says like, tell me a bit more about him. Like, is there something you're holding back? Like, he can sense that she's not saying everything, and she doesn't
Mm.
tell him these things
Yeah.
because she can't believe it. And although it's pretty obvious to us as a viewer, as a character, maybe you know doesn't want to believe that. So that's was quite nice actually.
Yeah. It is. I like how real she feels. She
Yeah,
feels like a real person, not a character. Um,
definitely. Yeah,
and that isn't this where we get the shot, like the famous shot of the eye looking at her through the door.
yeah, mumbling something, and then she runs.
Yeah, she legs it to the basement or something. I think after the final phone call, it gets really, really scary.
Yeah, it does. It does. When you
Yeah.
really think that someone could be in any of the
I,
rooms.
I still maintain that if they hadn't already revealed that he was inside the house, and we only would get it revealed here, That's the only thing that could have made it more scary.
Ah,
Like,
maybe, but
because
I kind of,
if we have the like, imagine if the film was set up thusly. You have these group of girls living in the sorority house, and then we keep hearing stories about people getting killed tonight for whatever reason, and they're outside, and people are saying stay indoors. Police are calling round, and while all this is happening, they're getting all of these prank calls. So it's still scary, but you haven't confirmed that the killer is in the house. And then you can still have like Peter come in with his friends or whatever, and you can still imply that he's a bit strange or whatever, and then only reveal at the very end, actually, your friends aren't asleep up in their bedrooms right now, they're actually dead. You have a find everyone dead right at the end. I just think that could have been really, really scary. Yeah, I think you could have made it scarier, but I still think it's such a successful film in terms of the scares, the tension, just everything is really well done. But I still think you could have had the you could have had the twist to actually be a twist.
yeah, I don't 100% agree with you, but I get your point.
No, it's fine. I don't mind if you disagree.
I'm allowed to disagree.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
John Saxon and the Brady Bunch show up to save Jess, and Jess beats Peter to death because Peter's broken into the house looking for her, so he must be the killer, right? And
mm,
so John Saxon shows up. She's beating him to death. Claire's dad faints in shock. He's still around. Um, and then the police leave her in the house to sleep, and it's all over. But then the killer is still in the loft talking to Mrs. May and Mrs. Mack and Claire. Um, and my note here, so it's my last couple of notes. My note here: why haven't the police looked up in the attic?
yeah, I was also wrote that at some point. Why didn't they search the whole house?
It's
I
it.
don't
I've
know.
got. It's been there've been numerous calls from inside the house. Someone check the fucking loft.
Mm,
Someone check the fucking loft, please, please. So yeah, you're right. With that ending, we are absolutely like it. You'd get a sequel, I'm sure. Is there a sequel to this? A direct sequel?
I don't
Can
know.
we look? Can we look it up?
Let me have a look on Wikipedia quickly.
Because I'm finished with all my notes. I think we're pretty much done with Black Christmas. Just
Yeah.
give the thing a rating.
Uh-huh,
If there's a
uh-huh.
Black Christmas 2, like from the 70s, I would love for us to do that next Christmas.
There is was I don't know if it was made um a short fan film that was funded through Indiegogo called It's Me, Billy, a Black Christmas fan film. And
Ooh.
they almost got Olivia Hussey in, and the other
Ooh.
actress, ah no, it's someone else. They almost got her, but then I think she backed out at the last minute or something. Um,
So
yeah,
we
health
never
reasons.
so we never got a sequel.
No, it would have been hold on. It was announced that it's me, Billy, chapter two. Yeah, so I think, assuming from the title chapter two, it probably would have been a sequel. But this was going to
Mm.
be released next year. So Olivia Hussey, I think she's now 72 years old. So maybe, yeah.
Wait, what? So no, so that's got to be that can't be a sequel to the original. Then it'll be a sequel to the new ones, and they're just getting Olivia Hussey back for a cameo.
Maybe. I don't know enough. I'm just reading a couple of things off
I mean,
Wikipedia.
that's kind of wild that this film didn't get sequels. Most
You
of
got
these films get
remakes.
sequels. Yeah, remakes, but not sequels. And like, you really ended it in such a way that you probably would have had sequels. Well, you know what? Perfect. Great. I'm glad this is a franchise. It's not a franchise. It's just a
Untouched.
standalone, untouched. Well, not so much with the remakes,
Hmm.
but without the remakes, this film is not. It's not a franchise. It's not everyone sit around and laugh at how bad the films get over a period of time. It's just one and done. This is a good movie, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Yeah. Oh, I respect it more for not having a sequel. I do actually.
Nice.
Honestly, I say I'm going to give it one extra point for not having a sequel.
What are you going to give it out of 10 murdered sorority girls? Or is
Out of
that
10,
too dark?
no, we got about 10 though. So you asked me to do a 10 out of 10 rating. That's just IMDb.
Okay, fair enough. How about what's
How many dead
uh
sorority girls do you want me
yeah,
to
how
do it
many
at?
did sorority girls without a limit, as
With
much
no
as you want
limit.
to add? Yeah.
Oh, a whole sorority.
How big is a sorority?
It doesn't matter. However big the sorority is, all of it.
I'm gonna
100
give
out
it
of 100, 10 out of 10, whatever it is.
I'm gonna give it a sorority house and a half.
And
So
a
it's like
half.
Ted Bundy.
Oh, we can do that. All right then. Let's do it. 1.5 sorority houses.
Yeah, that's a bit dark though, because that's Ted Bundy kind of shit. Uh,
That's all right. This film is dark. I think
yeah.
it's fine. I think we can be forgiven. He's dead now. Um, but IMDb rating, a realistic rating. What would you give this? Because for me,
So
I think I'd give this like an 8.5, maybe a
I
9.
think I would also give it something like an eight. Maybe yeah, also close to a nine. But
Mm.
realistically, I bet it probably got something lower. I bet it's probably like a 7.9 or something, like a
I think
high
it.
seven.
I'm pretty sure it's a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. But I think this film is deserves. I'm gonna go bang in the middle. I'm gonna say 8.5. I'm gonna be firm with that. 8.5 out of 10. Really, really good movie. Really good
Yeah.
movie. And it does seem Canada knows how to make good horror films. There's a few others that we could talk about. Because I was impressed at how much I like My Buddy Valentine as well. So
Mm,
yeah, I think maybe we could do an entire month of Canadian horror films at one point. That might be interesting. That might be fun.
yeah, that could be a good idea.
Yeah.
I also think yeah, about 8.5. Should I tell you what the rating is
Go on
on
then.
IMDb? It is 7.1 out of 10.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'd say most good horror films will get that kind of rating.
Yeah, but I think it
They
deserves
don't often
more.
get. Absolutely. I mean, didn't Hellraiser get something similar? And it
Let me,
absolutely deserved more.
I'm very curious about Suspiria as well from 77.
I'd guess that's like a 6.
7.3. Suspiria
Ooh.
is rated 0.2 higher. And also, let's also see Hellraiser. Why not?
I don't think I definitely think Suspiria is weaker than this film, but Suspiria is something very unique, and we didn't agree on everything in Suspiria as well.
No, that's
I think
true.
I liked it more than you.
Yeah, but I think that Black Christmas is better than Suspiria. At least
Yeah,
for my
I
taste
agree.
of film, it
No,
suits me more.
I couldn't agree more. I'm with you on that. I also
Yeah.
think this film stands above. This is a very good film. Very good.
Hell, Hellraiser, also another great horror film, 6.9.
Oh, that's so depressing. So
Yeah.
depressing.
Everyone
That
who
might be
votes
the
on
best one.
IMDb is wrong.
Yeah, I say so because I'd say Hellraiser's probably the best one.
Yeah, it's great.
Uh,
It's really
out
great.
out of the three that we're discussing here, anyway, yeah, Hellraiser's the better one. But I'd say Black Christmas is not far behind. It's very very good. Suspiria, I liked it. I'm still listening to the soundtrack of Suspiria since we watched it. I really like the soundtrack way more than the film.
Yeah. All
All right.
right.
Well, thank you guys for coming out to listen to us. We are Film Shrapnel. Go check us out on the app formerly known as Twitter, at Film Shrapnel, capital F, capital S. You'll get all these updates letting you know what to expect and where we're at. And also TikTok. We have some stuff on there. We haven't updated in a while, but go check us out, give us them views, and maybe we'll carry it on or start it back up again. And YouTube is on the way. You can go and find the official Film Shrapnel YouTube channel and get subscribed early before we've even uploaded anything. We might have one video up already by now. Uh, but yeah, go check us out there, subscribe, and content coming soon in a big way for 2024. Uh, all right, I think I'm done with that, Craig. What do you have to say to the lovely listeners?
Not much, not much. You can also follow us on Instagram. We're there now
Ah,
too.
I
And yeah, just
overlooked
keep,
Instagram.
you overlooked it.
I did. All right. And until next time. The
Keep it
baby. What did you
knees.
do to the baby? What did you do to the baby? Where's the baby? Blah, 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 blah.
Jesus Christ. Right. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Bye.
Shrapnel.